Hello everybody, welcome to IA Command. This is TV Boy, and this is the top 8 quarterfinal match from the US Grand Championship at Nova. And I want to give a huge thank you to Jason Brege, who did a huge solid to the IA community by recording these top 8 matches for all of us, as I could not make it across the country to be there. I will make sure to send a huge stack of alt arts his way. And we are underway here. This is the Blitz mission on Lothal Wastes. And for those of you who don't know, the mission involves players deploy their figures one at a time by group, and they are able to move a figure or group 8 spaces after they deploy it. So we have both players making their deployments. It looks like Jason's going to have the initiative in this round, this game. Both players placing their Jabba onto the table. And it looks like we have Chopper coming out for the first one, and Jason placing C-3PO. So for our players for this game, we have Mark, who goes by Manatee X on the Slack, on the left, playing against Jason himself, who goes by Do or Do Not on the Slack. Both of these players, beloved Slack members. So Mark deploying his Jawa against Jason's just Jabba and 3PO. It looks like 3PO is moving down towards the terminal side. So for the list, let's talk about the list while the players make their deployments. We have Mark, who is playing Jabba, 3PO, Greedo, Hondo, an Elite Jawa, double Elite Weekways, and Chopper with Headhunter attachment along with Black Market. And Jason is playing Sabine, Onar, Greedo, double Elite Loth Cats, with Last Resort attached to one of them, Beast Tamer, Jabba, and C-3PO. So it looks like Mark has Jason out-activated a bit here. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 activations, whereas Jason has 3, 4, 5, it's just 7. So Jason bringing the tech here with the Last Resort on one of these Elite Loth Cats, which have become actually quite popular in the competitive metagame since Spectre Cell took a leave from the meta, but really it was popularized at Worlds, where aka Spectre Bowl, where David Gao popularized the unit, making it to top 8 with Elite Loth Cats in his list, along with Beast Tamer. But Jason ramping up the tech here with the Last Resort, turning one of those cats basically into a moving bomb. He straps dynamite to it, probably going to run it right into his opponent's thickest area of figures and then hope it blows up in their faces. So that is super cool. Alright, so Mark has deployed Greedo up to the north side of the map by the red objectives. And these objectives are worth 2 points each for controlling them at the end of each round. And it's always interesting to see which direction players decide to move their figures. It looks like Jason has deployed his own Greedo in that direction as well, although it has stayed a lot closer to his deployment zone, whereas Mark's Greedo is moving a little further out behind that black wall, sort of into that 4th lane. And now we have Jason is deploying, looks like Onar, down to the spire, way down south of the terminal, but on the blue objective. But Mark is not to be undone when it comes to spicy tech. He has Chopper with the Headhunter attachment, something that you can only do in a mercenary list, and that makes his Chopper especially dangerous, because if Jason ever gets caught with a figure adjacent to the terminal, Chopper's not only going to deal damage to it, he is going to be able to strip a command card at random out of Jason's hand. So Jason has to be very careful when it comes to placing his figures on his terminal and being aware of Chopper's activation status. It's very interesting mind games when you have Chopper with Headhunter on the field in a scum list. So it looks like we've got a few more, about half the list deployed. Mark still has his Weekways and Hondo left to deploy. And it looks like we're deploying, Jason is deploying his Loth Cats. So important to note, the Loth Cats with the bomb tied to them on Last Resort have a cheetah paint scheme. Although they're both yellow, you want to look for the ones with the spots. Those are the ones that are going to blow up. So Jason deploying the Loth Cats close to the... It looks like he's deploying most of his figures pretty close to his deployment zone, where they should be safe from long-range Weequay attacks. Mark deploying his Weequays. Looks like he's sending them up north to the yellow. Still deciding where he wants to put those. Blitz is super interesting, especially when you have lists with ranged figures in them. I mean, when you have melee figures, you just kind of push them into up to the middle as far as you can. But with these ranged figures, there's a little more positioning going on here. And Mark waffling back and forth, but decides... It looks like he's going to put them in that area right in front of his deployment zone, right next to his C-3PO. Yep, just one space away from that northern opening. Into the yellow lane. Still has yet to deploy Hondo. Hondo's very interesting on this map as well because he has so much room to... So many different lanes to choose from if he wants to run into the opponent's deployment zone. It can be very hard to stop a Hondo if they keep him back in the middle game and then decide to run him out. So waiting for Jason's deployment here. Looks like he still has Sabine, another Loth Cat. So deploying his second group of Loth Cats down by Onar near the spire. And he's going to deploy those together, it looks like. This one onto the blue objective. It looks like these are going to be the ones with the last resort on them. And now Mark deploying Hondo. And moving Hondo actually pretty deep into the map. Oh. Looks like he's considering his options. That would have been quite dangerous to put Hondo there. Very easy to get line of sight to him. So he does put him out in the open by the crevice and the yellow objective. And now we just have Sabine for Jason. And Sabine is going to be on the spire. Now, important to note, there was a change for those who were not aware that Sabine and mobile figures can no longer be immune from all attacks by standing in the middle of that spire. However, she still benefits greatly from standing behind the spire, basically, and gets a lot of cover from figures on the other side. So, very difficult to attack Sabine while she's behind that. And it looks like we have one more deployment for Mark. So his second group of elite Weequays are going to move up and join Greedo near the red objective. One of them anyway. The other one is going to be backed by the other two Weequays and C-3PO. Alright, so that was set up, and now we're going into round one. Initiative is on Jason. Both players drawing their opening hands. And I believe Jason has one less activation, so he could pass here. Oftentimes it's an advantage to have initiative. Round one on Blitz. But in this case, okay, so he's going to activate Jabba. He's drawing a card, and he is going to focus one of those Loth Cats And it looks like those are the cheetah Lothcats down in the southern part of the map near Onar. So those have last resort. So most likely those are the ones he's going to be dive bombing in early in the round, or early in the game. Oh, I see. So the other Lothcats are tigers up in the north by 3PO, and the ones with the bomb strapped to them are cheetahs. So nice paint schemes there. Alright, so Mark also choosing to activate his Jabba, drawing a card, and it looks like he is focusing Greedo. So Greedo going to be focused this round. Now it's back to Jason. And Jason, I believe, still has the option to pass here. These 7 activations to Mark's 8. If I'm correct. So again, neither player has really committed heavily into the middle of the board, so not a whole lot of engagement going to be happening in this first round at least. So both players can kind of take their time, set up their figures with focus with their support units. Both players running Jabba and 3PO. Neither player has Gideon or R2-D2 though. However, it's interesting to note that the Weequays and the Lothcats both have abilities that allow them to spend an action to gain a power token, basically. So even though there's only two focusing figures, as they like to say on Zion's Finest, these lists are very capable of spending an entire round ginning up, as they say, and getting themselves ready for combat. Also, as far as the positioning goes, it's interesting to note here that both players have basically gone onto the opposite sides of the map from each other. So Jason activating C-3PO to focus the other Lothcat, the other cheetah Lothcat. And again, as I was saying, both players opting to go opposite routes. Mark going up to the north, where the red objective is, whereas Jason moving his figures more to the spire, where the terminals are. So Mark activating C-3PO to focus one of the 3 Weequays that are standing next to him, and moves him out to be adjacent to that yellow objective. Not feeling threatened, it seems, by any of Jason's figures here. 3PO not adjacent to any friendly figures, not able to use cower, but not really in any danger here either because of where Jason has positioned himself, although he does have Greedo there. So perhaps Mark trying to lure Greedo out here to take a shot on 3PO and then not be able to hide. So Jason's activation. A lot of things to consider, even though it's just the first round. Map is very open. And if you step out into the open too early, you might get shot down early. But if you don't move and make a move to take control, you might be allowing your opponent to gain too much map control and get too many victory points. So always a tricky map, Lothal Wastes. Considering his options here. So he does have Beast Tamer, important to note. So it looks like he's going to activate the cheetah. So he's going to activate the cheetah Lothcats. Activates one to give a power token to the other one and moves it back into position. Now using Beast Tamer to get a free move action. So this means that he can move 13 spaces and take an attack because of how that works. He gets a free action, move action from Beast Tamer, then he gets a regular move action, and then he gets to pounce 3 spaces and attack. So he's going to attack Chopper, and that is going to be a dead Chopper right there. No system shocking for that chopper in this game, unfortunately. And because he had the Headhunter attachment and because of Jabba, that's going to be 5 points for Jason right there. And it looks like he only needed 11 movement to get that kill, so he moves the Lothcat 2 spaces back. So it is adjacent to the Elite Jawa, which will likely move away before Mark dispatches that Lothcat, rendering the last resort somewhat impotent. However, important to note that Jason has full control of when that last resort goes off. So if he wants to, or if he wanted to, he can wait, send in the second Lothcat on the next round, next to a bunch of figures, of Mark's figures that have already activated and can't move away from it. So that's really one of the nice things about Last Resort on a multi-figure group, and especially with Beast Tamer. It's a really, really nice combo. Really fun. You know, maybe I don't think PETA would approve of strapping dynamite to a cat and weaponizing them, but it's a game. Alright, so it looks like we have a Weequay Pirate activating. Weequay Pirates moving into the middle of the map next to the yellow objective, using their prowl ability to make themselves hidden. Mark mentioning that Greedo being the only threat to his figures there. So shuffling the Weequays. So moving them back slightly just so that Greedo would have to make a pretty long range shot if he wanted to attack them and be able to move back to the safety of that spot. Range 8, effectively range 10 since they are hidden. Greedo is known for doing similar things to Last Resort Lothcats. Often you'll focus him and then just double move him into the middle of a bunch of figures that have already activated. So if the opponent kills Greedo, he gets to kill something in return. And often he'll trade up for his 4 points against whatever he gets to kill with Parting Shot. So Jason considering his activation here. Nice tempo here, nice pickup of 5 victory points on Chopper in the first round with that Lothcat. It's always difficult because he needs to respect the range control of those Weequays. If he puts any of his figures out in the open, even on the far side of the map, those Weequays could just move in and take it out from 8 spaces away. And there's some very strange line of sight tricks on this map because of the weird angles. So it's not always obvious where the safest spots are. Alright, Jason activating Onar. We're going to move up between the spire and the black wall. One of the safer spots on the map. And double checking the line of sight lanes here. Making sure that the Weequay won't be able to move 4 spaces and take a shot on Onar. Onar not focused this round, but still very dangerous with that attack if he can get in close. But he is not a figure that likes to take long-range attacks. So Jason's going to have to work his way up to these Weequays and get his closer range figures into the fight against them. Weequay is very strong at taking long-range sniping shots, but at 6 health with a black die, if you can close the distance, close the gap on them, they die pretty easily. One of the squishier figures that see competitive play. Now we're on Mark. So Mark's activation, he still has a Weequay group left. He also has Greedo, who's focused, stuff to activate, and Hondo. Jawa also is not activated.
Did it to myself.
Most likely he's going to want to move that Jawa away from the Loth Cat, because it is blocking line of sight to the Loth Cat. So if he can move that Jawa out of the way, that Weequay could likely take it out.
Okay, well, I'll go with the Jawa.
Alright, Mark's going to activate the Jawa here.
Maybe we get real lucky.
And he's going to take a pot shot at the Loth Cat. 5 health.
Not lucky enough. 2 damage.
2 yellow dice doing 2 damage through the Loth Cat's defenses. So there's 3 health left on that Loth
I
Cat.
just figured if I'm going to shoot, a hunter's probably killing him on one shot anyway, so why bother, right?
Probably should have moved away before doing that, even though it's unlikely that a Jawa is going to one-shot a Loth Cat. It's not impossible, I believe.
How bad do I want the terminal? I mean, she's just going to kill him.
Although I guess Mark wouldn't be too unhappy if he got Jason to waste his parting, or to waste his bomb on just a single Jawa. Because the bomb does deplete when Jason decides to use it, so he can't use it on both Loth Cats. So that was the Jawa, moving out of the way, clearing the way for the Weequay to finish off that Loth Cat. Next activation. I wonder if maybe you should have moved that Jawa just 2 spaces to the left into the deployment zone, just to keep that lane clear for line of sight for his other Weequays. Now Jason's activation. So he's got Sabine. He's got the second Loth Cat group. He's got Greedo. So he's activating Greedo. And he is going to put him... Looks like he wants that green objective. Now, weirdly enough, looking at that space that he's got Greedo on right now, the space 1 to the left is actually slightly safer as far as line of sight goes. If he puts Greedo there, those Weequays will actually have to move 1 less space to get a shot on him. Whereas if he moves him 1 to the left, they'll have to move an extra space to get a shot on him on the next round. Now, of course, the problem is Hondo is sitting there and he has not activated it yet. So really, no matter where Jason puts Greedo, if he moves him into that part of the map, Hondo's going to be able to draw a bead on him. He's going to move him 1 back to the right. And unfortunately, again, Hondo just has to move 2 spaces south and he can draw line of sight to him. Although that is a range 8 shot.
It seems like the kind of thing where there should be a one-way line of sight, but I do not have it in my head right now.
Hondo can move 3 spaces and get a range 6 shot on Greedo there.
It seems like around these weird things, there's ways that you can get a one-way line of sight.
Mark mentioning that there's a lot of ways to get one-way line of sight because of the blocking terrain squares and the weird solid black squares. And if you're like me, I spend way too much time messing around on Nick Hansen's line of sight simulator. Really great. Check it out if you haven't used it. But you can like mess around and find all these weird line of sight, one-way line of sight areas. Unfortunately, where Jason has put it, that actually does have several one-way line of sights, but not to any figures right now. And it only matters when Greedo is actually attacking to avoid slow on the draw. Alright, so Mark is going to be activating his second group of Weekways. Interestingly, not deciding not to prowl. Probably doesn't need it since this is going to be a focused Weequay attack on a 3 health Loth cat. Just needs to do 3 damage.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a pierce. I'm not going to do any rerolls.
So 5 damage with Pierce 1 showing. That's going to take out the cat. So that's going to be 4 points scored for Mark. 3 plus 1 from Jabba.
And we're focused.
And took a focus off of that Weequay. I feel like Jason needs to feel pretty good about that exchange. He's up on victory points with that exchange, and he got rid of a big headache for him, which was Chopper with that Headhunter upgrade, and only lost a Loth cat for it. So Mark moving the Weequay back up to assist. Another consequence of getting rid of Chopper, Mark doesn't have anybody to sit on that terminal, really. He's going to be missing out on both the victory points and the extra command card draw from losing his terminal sitter. And this is one of the strengths of taking that Spire area is the terminal there. So a very important area to control. Although I think Mark likes the northern area a little better because it's got more open line of sight lanes for his Weequays to take advantage of. That Spire is also a great way to hide figures and block line of sight to get close range figures into combat more safely. So Jason activating the Tiger group of Loth cats. It's going to be using their fresh catch ability to get some power tokens.
3. Get that guy damage token.
And moving them deep
5.
behind that blocking terrain.
Yeah, muscle in there.
Oh, he's going to move him right on top of his terminal. Very safe spot from an opponent who has amassed in the northern part of the map.
This is the one that I gave. Yep, this is the one that got it. Okay.
The power token from Fresh Catch, often overlooked by players evaluating the Loth cats, but it significantly improves their damage profile when they have a damage power token, in addition to the automatic Pierce 1 and the Surge for +2 damage. And if you focus them too, they hit really hard, actually. They can easily do 6 damage minimum with a focus and a power token. So Mark activating his own Greedo, moving it up to the yellow objective into that nice little corner. Normally would be pretty open to attacks there, but because Jason has not seemed too interested in controlling that northern part of the map, Mark's pretty safe there with his Greedo. Also a great spot for Greedo to get attacks from there without being attacked back to slow on the draw. For example, Mark's Greedo can see Jason's Greedo, but Jason's Greedo cannot see Mark's Greedo. Alright, Sabine. So double movement with Sabine. And he's going to put a grenade onto the Jawa and to the Weequay. Basically getting free damage here.
Darn it.
Oh, blanked out. That 1 and 6 is 0. Makes her almost feel fair. But he perfectly works out. He is now able to take that objective and terminal from Mark. Going to be getting 2 extra command cards. And he has the Rebel Graffiti on round 1. No answer from Mark, so that's going to be 2 free victory points. Ooh, this Sabine play is a big swing in Jason's favor. Even with the 0 damage on the grenade, just having her positioned there with Rebel Graffiti. this is going to be a high priority for Mark to get rid of. One of the strong plays you can make with Sabine on this map on Blitz is putting immense pressure on the opponent's terminal and any figures that decide to hang out there.
Yep.
It's still very hard to dig her out of that spire. Alright, and we've got Hondo moving up and making a bit of a trick shot here against Onar, who's deep in cover but still able to get that line of sight.
No cards, I should mention.
Looks like it's a range 6 shot. And Jason opting to give him the extra damage.
Do you have any rerolls?
I have no rerolls.
Not paying him the victory points.
I have no rerolls. Get down.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So using get down.
Alright, that's it.
And it looks like that's going to miss. Not enough accuracy.
Draw 3?
Yep, you do.
And that is the end of round 1. So it looks like we're going to get quite a bit of victory points here for both players. Jason's going to get 6 for controlling 3. Mark controls 2, so he's going to be getting 4 victory points. Oh no, he's controlling 3. So black market for Mark,
Yeah, I guess.
spending 3 victory points to draw Assassinate off of it. Although, interestingly, he could have put it back on top, I believe, and just drawn it normally. Oh no, but that's right, he would have only drawn it next round. So, okay, both players control 3 objectives. They're both going to be getting 6 points here. Jason leading 13-7. That was a big swing, having to pay full retail for that Assassinate. Otherwise, it would have been only a 3-point difference at this point. Objective passing to Mark. Start of round 2. Here we go. Also, Jason drawing 3 extra cards compared to Mark only drawing 1 here. Most likely factoring in his decision to pay 3 points for that Assassinate. Start of round effects.
I can't bring 6 dice, but probably get something going.
Sabine, relatively safe where she is. Normally,
Yeah, we'll go with the green ones.
Mark would be able to shoot down his that lane there in front of his deployment zone, but that Jawa is kind of gumming up things and clogging his line of sight. So he's going to activate the Weequay.
There.
Weequay is not focused. Had to use that focus shot to take out the little Loth cat. And primary target, tools for the job, played on this attack on Sabine. So it's going to be focused with a red die. Ooh, 4 dice attack on Sabine.
Okay, no cards for you.
This is going to be big. Doesn't dodge.
I wish I remembered if you had tough luck from this.
So it's tough to make out the dice, but from what I can see, it looks like he has 6 damage and 2 surges showing. So 8 total. So if he plays Assassinate here, that'll one-shot Sabine.
So I do not have any rerolls.
So not going to reroll Assassinate.
I will play Assassinate.
Yep, there it is. There is the Assassinate. That is going to be one shot. Jason saying nothing he can do about that. 3 victory points well spent for that black market.
Took all my cards,
Took all your cards, but that hurts.
And that's going to be 8 points scored for Mark. Putting him at 15.
gentlemen.
Now he's got another Weequay way up in the north. But yeah, that is a big hit. That's that could swing this game around for Mark.
Just one-shotter. That's the power.
And it looks like he's got a shot on Greedo that he can make. Nope. Looks like he's just prowling. Alright. Now it's Jason's turn to respond to that. Still got a lot of value out of Sabine this game. Basically got 4 victory points and an extra command card. And 2 cards out of 3 command cards out of Mark's hand to kill her, so. But that's going to mitigate a lot of the value she was poised to generate in this game. Interestingly, the only other figure in Jason's list that can even use Rebel Graffiti is C-3PO. So, most likely we'll see that card come down when 3PO activates. Jason's got his Greedo in a pretty exposed space there. I'm imagining he's going to be activating Greedo next. But there's not great shots he can take. So interestingly, there's a space immediately to the left of Jason's terminal where if he puts Greedo there, he could actually get, he would be able to get an uncontested shot on Hondo, but unfortunately Onar is blocking that line of sight path. He does have the option here of going with Onar, but I think he probably doesn't want to lose Greedo at this point. If he loses Greedo here, Greedo doesn't really have any return fire or parting gift shots he can make. Parting shot. I'm thinking either moving Greedo back and getting him focused up by 3PO, or maybe just double moving him up onto the terminal and the blue deployment zone where Sabine was occupying. So that way at least he'll get a parting shot on the Weequay if he does lose Greedo. And he can get there in 10 spaces. He'd be very aggressive, though. He is activating 3PO? Alright, looks like Jason's activating 3PO to focus up a Lothcat. Doesn't seem like he's worried about Greedo here. Again, though, from there, Greedo can be shot by both of those Weekways, as well as Mark's Greedo. So Mark has interesting options. I think if he wants to annihilate Greedo this round and not give him a chance to escape, the Weekways are his best bet. They have the reroll ability that lets them prevent Greedo from rolling a dodge. They're both hidden already, so they can move up and shoot with an extra surge.
Oh, do we do that?
He's not really exposing them to a whole lot of damage by moving them forward because, again, Jason can just turn those Lothcats into missiles, and there's basically nowhere you can hide from them. Alright. He looks like he's looking at Greedo. Perhaps going after 3PO? Or a Lothcat? Alright. Mark's activating Greedo and going for the Lothcat. So no worries about slowing the draw since it's a melee target. There's a focus shot with the +1 damage built in. Oh, there's 3 blocks for the Lothcat, and it looks like 3 damage, 2 surges, and only 2 accuracy for Greedo. That's 3 accuracy with the bonus. That's a range 6 shot.
Yeah. Okay.
Goes away.
Oh, that is a miss. So C-3PO taking away one of those surges. Mark had to choose either between the damage or the range, and that 3 blocks was enough to stifle him either way. Oh, that is rough. Having a focused Greedo attack fall to nothing. And now Greedo is just sitting there in Lothcat territory.
But if I put that in the calculator, that was not a very likely shot. 3PO there.
Interestingly, if you put that Greedo attack into the calculator, it gives out a 15% chance of dealing 0 damage. So that was a 1 in 6. But it wasn't like it was a 2% or anything. That 3PO definitely changed the math there.
Yep.
All right.
Primary target.
Jason playing his own primary target, activating Onar on Hondo, the primary target at only 6 points. That's the kind of list we've got. No longer a queen meta like we've been seeing. You know, we had primary target played on Sabine. All right, here's the roll. All right, it's hard to make out here, but it looks like a blank from Hondo. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, is that a dead Hondo? Because he gets +1 damage from the primary target. That was a dead Hondo. So Jason responding to the Sabine kill with a Hondo kill. Going up to 20 points. Getting 7 points thanks to Jabba. And moves Onar back into safety of the Spire. Well, things are looking good for Jason here. Some whiffed attacks from Mark. Both Greedo and Hondo whiffing on their attacks.
Oh yeah, okay. It's not looking good for Hero. So you've got Greedo. Greedo, both sets of cats.
Mark still has a Weequay group to go. Still has Jabba. Still has the Jawa. And still has 3PO. So whatever attacks he can make this round, he can still focus those attacks. Jabba drawing a card from Mark. And he's going to focus on his Greedo. Making sure he gets a good parting shot there. If he goes down. So that's always the tricky part with Greedo when you're playing against him, is you have to think, well, if I kill him now, he can parting shot. But if I don't kill him, then he's just going to get another attack on me. So Jason activating Jabba to draw a card. And we'll focus on the Lothcat. And Jason still hasn't activated that Greedo. Not sure. I think Mark.
3PO, I guess.
So 3PO for Mark, focusing on Weequay. Not sure if he doesn't realize he can get line of sight to Jason. So Mark can just move those Weequays down 2 spaces. The south one and third one, the north one, can just move down 3 spaces. And he can actually draw line of sight to Greedo from there.
I was just realizing I hadn't even tapped out.
But it is a very tight line of sight lane, and it might be easy to miss if you're just using your naked eyes. We have the advantage here in the commentary booth of relying on websites and tools, and the players don't get to use those when they're actually playing the game. So very unfortunate, though. I think that Greedo should have been dead a long time ago.
Got it.
But that is not a safe space, even though it looks like one for Greedo. So Jason is activating the Lothcats, the Tiger group, and he's moving him and pouncing, and attacking the Weequay with Death Blow for an extra 2 damage.
You're going to have to roll real low, I think, on this one.
On top of a focus, and I believe it has a power token as well. We're rolling them in the box.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We get an automatic Pierce 1. That'll do it. That'll take out that Weequay. So it's going to be 5 points for Jason. Taking a 10-point lead here.
Stay there. But he still has that second damage token that I can give him. That's so that's his damage token.
And that's the strength of these Loth Cats, is they are just little missiles. Doesn't matter where you hide, they don't rely on line of sight, they just zoom up to you and kill you. Especially these lower health figures. And they're actually quite good at attacking queen pieces thanks to that built-in pierce. So Jason still has Greedo and the Cheetah Loth Cats with the last resort on them. Mark has a choice between Jawa and the Weekways. And so again, if you're wondering how to draw line of sight to Greedo, he can do it from the two spaces below the southern Weequay to Greedo's bottom left and bottom right corners. And now here we go again, the Jawa again doing 2 damage to the Loth Cat after it comes in and murderizes Mark's figures on his terminal. Now Jason free to activate Greedo here and moves him back to the safety of C-3PO. Not sure why he wouldn't put him on his own terminal though. Yeah. So it looks like he's going to do that. Curious what the thought process is here. Perhaps he wants his Greedo to be closer to Mark's Greedo, but it seems to me the obvious choice is to just put him next to the terminal. That Cheetah Loth Cat is most likely going to go on a mission away from the terminal, so hasn't used Beast Tamer yet, so he could easily get like a Jawa kill or even a Weequay kill with that Cheetah Loth Cat. A lot of this list seems to just be predicated on making favorable exchanges for Jason. You know, you take these cheap figures, you soup them up, turn them into missiles, kamikaze missiles, and just trade up on points with these guys.
Probably gonna kill someone if he gets him. Can he get this guy already?
And it seems to be working. Even if Mark hasn't been whiffing on a lot of his attacks, I think Jason would still have a slight edge here. So that's 13 spaces that a Loth Cat can cover and attack, thanks to Beast Tamer. Mark no longer has the option of shooting Greedo with those Weekways. Could move them back towards his own deployment zone, but he's not going to be able to draw line of sight because the Jawa moved to block his line of sight lanes to that Tiger Loth Cat down there. Jason's doing a great job of keeping his figures out of Mark's line of sight. These Weequays have great range, great accuracy, if they can find a target that's in the open. It looks like he's going to activate the Weequay, double move it onto the yellow objective, and maybe try to catch up here with objective points. He still has a bit of a numbers advantage. They've been trading figures quite evenly. So I think Mark's going to try to use that to exert control on this board and get back on, narrow that gap on the victory points scoreboard. The only problem there being that by doing that, he is bringing his figures closer to Jason's close range figures. Right now he can control 4 of the objectives.
2 points matters at the end. I'll be on that. Okay, there it is.
Okay, well he moves 2 Weequays onto 1 objective. Okay, so this makes sense to me. The reason he's not going for that 4th objective with the Weequay and piling them both on the same one is he realizes that Lothcat is focused. So if it moves up and lands on the objective and then takes out his Weequay, he will actually lose points. This way, whatever the Lothcat kills, he'll still have a Weequay there to contest that objective. The Cheetah Lothcat pouncing on the Weequay. And this is a focused attack, another one. I think it's not difficult for these focused Lothcats to kill a Weequay. And yep, there he goes. Another 5 points, 30-15. There wasn't really much Mark could do about that. Again, when your cat can move 13 spaces and attack, he would have had to move them way up to the north to get away from that. And again, that's what makes these Lothcats so strong. They trade up for 4-point figures, and they only cost 3 points. So Jason controlling 1 objective, and Mark controls 2. And again, because he doubled up those Weekways, he is contesting the objective that Jason put his Lothcat on, preventing him from getting 2 points. And even though Mark could have gotten 2 points himself by maybe putting him on the red one, he's trying to stop Jason from getting to 40 here. You know, as you get closer to 40, preventing your opponent from getting victory points becomes more important, I think, so that you can have some time to catch up and score some points for yourself. So Mark activating Black Market gets urgency, gets to draw that for 0 points. And we're going into round 3 here. So initiative passing to Jason, who is 8 points away from victory. Take initiative from Mark. Jason's got the negation. So Jason just needs to find 8 points here. Each Weequay is worth 5. A Jawa's worth 4. All thanks to Jawa, of course. He could kill a Jawa, go to 37, and then kill 3PO even. And now we'll put him at 40. Mark needs to prevent... Basically, really can't lose any figures here. Needs to find a way to get 21 points. Or he could get to run out the clock and get to 33 if he can find 14 points somewhere. But not looking good for him at this point. So it'd probably be killing Onar at this point. It's going to be very difficult. Greedo's 4, Jabba's 6, plus 2 for Jabba's 12 points. He'd need to find another somewhere. Objectives could factor into that. I think Mark has a slight figure advantage right now. He's got 1, 5. He's got 5 figures out, not counting Jabba, to Jason's 3, 4. Jason's 4, I believe. Oh, Jason's 5. So actually they're even on figures. So Jason activating his Tiger Lothcats, which is the the Loth Cat by the Jawa. And he could actually give himself a power token and then pounce on the Jawa. Could easily do 5 damage that way. Pierce 1, totally negating. Oh. Nope, the Tiger Jawa. Oh yeah, there we go. Going after 3PO. 3PO needs a dodge. Dead 3PO celebration. That'll do it. One away. Still just needs to kill the Jawa here. And there's the handshake from Mark, though. All right, congratulations to Jason. That was the quarterfinals. We'll be back for the semifinals. Enjoy the post-game discussion.
The run for cover with the two defensive, but I mean, I never drew them because I wasn't drawing cards. Right? Like, it's easy to say, it's easy to say, oh, I got unlucky and didn't get them, but I didn't draw cards because I didn't take the turn. I think I got too scared of Sabine in the setup that being there would be too hard for me to. Yeah, between them and the cats, I was like, well, she's just going to be able to come through and get everything. But I should have left at least one more there to be able to kind of swoop into the terminal at the end. That's fun though.
Yeah, sort of after last game, I realized Chopper is just the Headhunter is just deadly.
Oh, it's brutal.
I mean, it's deadly for your planning and just everything. I'm like, I've got to get rid of Chopper first thing. I mean, it's like objective number 1, trade cat for Chopper.
Yeah, and usually that actually I don't mind that. Right. Like playing against Jill last game, he had his focus damage token Loth Cat, and I mean, it's like a 4-for-4 trade, but that's one Weequay that's not dying to a cat. Because of my Chopper. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's
I'm planning to dive bomb in.
the